Hello and welcome to episode 10. I am your host, Bridget, Therese of Empowering Women Through Fitness. And today I have a special co-host.
Hi, my name is Christian. How are you doing today?
This is Christian and I'm so excited. We are hanging out all week. He's on spring break. So we are just doing some fun stuff together this week, and I am talking to Taryn, who we're going to meet here in just a minute. I've been friends with her for quite a while, but have never met her in person or been able to talk to her. So we've just been social media friends. But the reason I brought Christian on today is because we are talking all about travel. And she has traveled to over 69 countries. So I'm really excited. So Christian has some questions for her. So we're going to get a chance to talk to her, learn more about her story. She quit her job and travels the world. That sounds like more fun than work, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. So she has joined, so we're gonna go ahead and add her. If you guys are watching for the first time, welcome to the show. We talk to lots of inspiring women from around the world. And if you're watching on the replay, thanks for joining us, but I'm gonna go ahead and add her on here to connect.
10, 9,
We don't even have to do a countdown, but if you think anybody you're knowing would want to know how to quit their job and travel, you might want to share this with them.
Does this work? Is this working?
It is.
Hi.
Hi, I'm going to adjust over here a little bit so you can see us both. How are you?
I'm great. I just realized that in order to go live, you have to have your phone horizontally. So excuse me as I make an adjustment.
No worries. No worries.
Anyway, how's it going?
It's going awesome.
Great.
Good.
Awesome. Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Nice to see you.
Now that we got the formalities out of the way, so just let me know when you're ready. But Taryn actually flew back from a country today. So
I'm back. I'm good.
She's back.
Where were you?
I was in Guatemala.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, have you been to Guatemala?
He was.
Yeah, as I have now for the first time. I just visited.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, as I start every show, Taryn, I do some icebreaker questions. So Christian and I are going to take some turns asking you some questions. So he's going to go first.
Okay.
Where did you grow up?
I was born in the Bronx and I grew up in New Jersey.
So that's New York.
Yes.
Oh. Where do you live now?
I live in Los Angeles, California.
Okay.
Okay, and then my question is, what are you grateful for today?
Oh gosh, to breathe, to be alive, to be here.
Perfect. And my next question is, if you could have lunch with anyone, who would it be and why?
Lunch. Okay, who would it be and why? Oh gosh, I should have thought this through before
That's
I got
okay,
on.
I sprung it on you.
Yeah, that's okay. I'd love to have lunch with my grandfather, my father's father. I only knew him until I was about 7 years old, but my father always spoke so adoringly about him, and I'd love to get to know him better.
Perfect. This is your question.
What is a new skill you want to learn?
A new skill. I really would love to perfect skateboarding. I kind of can get on the board, but I'd really like to, skateboarding.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
same here.
Okay, cool.
What is one item on your bucket?
One item on your bucket list
you have accomplished?
I have accomplished.
Yeah.
Antarctica, going to Antarctica. Yeah, bucket list.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool.
And the last question for the icebreaker questions is, what is the next item on your bucket list you'd like to check off? And for you, my guess is it's a country.
I would say, I was going to say a country, and then I feel like it should be more original, and that would be to finally finish my book.
You're writing a book?
I'm writing a book, yeah. I thought about it in a lot of different ways, blog posts versus actually binding it and sharing the story, but because I'm asked very specific questions frequently about my experience in my travels, I thought putting the meat of it and sharing it in a published book would be ideal. So if I could discipline myself enough to finish it, that's the bucket list.
Perfect. I love that.
Cool.
So take us back to the beginning of your journey, when it started, kind of paint the picture before us, before it you started this journey and what led you to it?
So I've been an avid traveler since I was a kid. Before my trip started, I had been to all 50 United States, and there's always more international travel that was really calling me. I'd been to about 20 countries before it happened. So that's part of my constitution, who I am as a person. And then leading up to the big trip, I was simultaneously trying to figure out truly what I wanted to be when I grew up. This question we're asked forever since we're little ones. And I didn't quite have it figured out. I was not in the best place professionally. I was not in the right role for me and who I was at that time. And also, I was ending an extraordinarily powerful and valuable relationship with my boyfriend. And I really needed to be alone, be away, have time to hear my own thoughts, hear who Taryn was and what Taryn wanted without a lot of the background noise that we get when we make really powerful choices in our lives from our community around us.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, in summary, that's where it started.
That's where it started. So then, how did you make the plunge? Like, how did you map it out? Did you book a flight to the nearest country? How did you go about it?
At first I was pretty organized. I knew that I wanted to start out with a yoga retreat in Bali. It was a dream of mine for years. I don't know exactly why. Maybe when I did the South Pacific musical in high school, I had always had an affinity for it. So for sure, I was starting the retreat with this really quiet, soulful, deep reflection experience. I actually didn't know the teacher. I sort of did a bunch of Googling and found this company, International Yoga, and I really resonated with the teacher's bio. And I started there. And then I went on to Japan, and I had a couple things that called me back to the US after. So I came back and then sort of mapped a bunch of trips through Europe, because Europe I was familiar with. I'd been before. I figured this was an easy way for me to start. Had those booked. And then I learned the hard way that you don't know what you don't know, and over planning suffocates joy. And I just needed to know where I wanted to go and then sort of let it happen. So I went from more formal planning to a lot looser planning to just chill and see where it takes me. Yeah.
So are you pretty much at the chill and see where it takes you now?
I would say so. I don't travel as hardcore as I was, but there is international travel about once a month now, for sure. Traveling, especially around me in the U.S., a couple times a month. So it's more combination of opportunity. So I some businesses do reach out to me and ask me to check out their property, for example, and that if the heart says yes, I gravitate in that direction. Or visiting friends now around the world is also really special. If events and stuff come up, for instance, Mongolia is calling me very strongly. So so I'm trying to make space for that and figure out what that's going to look like. But that'll probably be one of the next trips. Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you have any questions for her so far?
No.
Okay. All right. You let me know.
He's taking it all in.
Yeah.
So you go on this big trip. You quit your job.
Yeah.
Did you have like a bunch of money saved up? Did you travel on the cheap? And would you say you found yourself? Are you still finding yourself? Or where are you now in that journey?
I saved up a lot of money. I could not, when I first started the trip, work at all. I was blogging and writing, but my headspace wasn't in a place where I could work for somebody else other than myself. That wasn't right. And I was truly trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up. So I needed a lot of space to just put my life on the table and find out what brought me a lot of joy and where I would be of value. Being of value felt really important. Things felt a lot less important. So those couple of things were going on at the same time. So that's the quitting the job money thing you asked.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a lot of quiet moments, a lot of reflective moments, a lot of what is this life really about? How can I be of service? Why am I here? Why am I doing this? What's the point of all of this?
Yeah.
Why do we do what we do? Why do we make the choices we make? So I don't know if it was ever really finding myself as much as it was healing and hearing myself.
Mm.
And I really quickly learned that the more I know, the more I don't know a lot.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
that really just continued to spark a place for curiosity and humility for me. And I
Mm-hmm.
really do try to carry those things, in the forefront as I'm making decisions and growing in this next
Yeah.
phase. Yeah.
What do you think it is about traveling or just being in a foreign place, away from your normal world, that allows you that space to just kind of think or be still? Or I know, because even in the simplest form, like if I'm ever overwhelmed or I want to get away, like one of my go-tos is I just need to go for a drive and get out of my space or the space that I'm used to. What do you think it is about that, or even traveling internationally, that allows you that space?
I think it is simply environment and being plucked out of your daily routine.
Yeah.
And depending on the countries and the cities and the mountains, the less noise you have and the less social conditioning that exists.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, this is going to sound really funny, but I just came back to LA from Guatemala, and I was driving through Beverly Hills this afternoon.
Yeah.
And when you leave a country where people have a great sense of community. I mean, I was walking down the street in Antigua in the morning, and not a person walked past me and didn't say good morning.
Wow.
Not a person. Um, I was dressed in a way that I wanted to take my photography, and I had my camera equipment out, and people watched me do it. They left me
Mm-hmm.
be. They were inquisitive. Some people talked to me about my dress and asked me what was going on. And I
Yeah.
guarantee you, I could walk down the street in Beverly Hills, and I would pass probably 15 people, and no one would say hello to me.
Yeah.
So those little things of community, uh, abundance, lack of material things, if you're aware, they have a lot to offer in terms of reflection and observation.
Mm-hmm.
And so driving down the street, I sort of feel like I'm in a movie right now, because it is so far into the world I was living in, and the space that you're given to be able to compare the two. Um, and if you're um, careful to really feel wise to the situation, it's really beautiful and powerful. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. And it kind of paints a visual for me, and probably for those who are watching, but just how vastly different. And I mean, it might even be safer to say that the people in Guatemala are happier and live life more abundantly than somebody in Beverly Hills. Not everybody, and I can't say that across the board, but like just to put things in perspective. And I think that's what traveling can kind of do, is pulls you out of that daily routine, all the things that you're used to, and things that may seem like first world issues now are like, you're like, never mind. I got
Totally.
it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Puts
Yeah.
what you can be grateful for really into perspective, and what really matters into perspective,
Yeah.
particularly solo travel. I think there's a
Tell
big,
us about that. Why did you choose to? I
I,
mean, I guess I kind of know why you choose to go solo, but let's talk about it from a lady's perspective. Were you scared at all, or what have you? Did you feel endangered over? Most people are scared of it, but I know I would do it.
yeah, I think to be honest,
Yeah.
from the ground level, I think more people are scared of being alone than I think people are
Mm-hmm.
scared and being with themselves than people are scared of actual
Wow.
danger.
Yeah.
That's my perspective based on the projection of questions I get when people say, "Are you scared?"
Interesting.
Because being in the U.S. is scary. We have a lot
Yeah.
of we
That's
have a
always
lot
nervous.
of we have a lot of unknown
Mm-hmm.
difficulties here. It's not as clear. So I don't know, that to
It
me is
never
always.
faced that part. Never faced you then.
It didn't. It really didn't. I think the parts that get a little scary are, I can't read this language. Am I getting on the train in the right direction? Because I don't want to end up at my accommodation tomorrow. You know, those are the parts where like for a second you're like, okay, use your street smarts, use your common sense here. What's going to be the best way to, you know, handle it and do this sort of thing. But no, not scary. And I think traveling by yourself and really taking the time to be with yourself really does give you that space to hear and be more objective about your patterns and thought forms and choices and decisions versus, you know, going with the flow and doing what your roommate, you know, wants you to do, sort of thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be kind of amazing to just wake up and just go do whatever the heck you want and just explore and be detours or adventurous or not have to stick to that agenda or whatever the case may be.
Exactly.
So, do you have a favorite country or a favorite culture of people that you've visited to this point?
It's more like favorite experiences. It would be really challenging to put it into one place, but I would say if I had to pick one, right, I would say Antarctica. I'm like super crazy for science, biology, specifically nature, animals, marine mammals, for instance. They fascinate me. So Antarctica was one of those places where I could equally access the wonder and beauty of nature and all the things that it offers and get close and personal with really beautiful animals and learn a lot more about the ecosystem there. And also I get terribly motion sick, believe it or not. So to make it 2 days on a boat through to the Drake Passage in the Southern Ocean, that was a huge deal for me. So that was also an accomplishment that I would tack on to favorite as well.
And I think I started following you, and I forget, I think I know what group I found you in, but I think I started following you right before that trip, so I remember seeing all the pictures coming from that trip, and they were incredible. So you guys have to follow her on Instagram, her travel style. That's the handle, her travel style, which I posted it in the show notes because she does have some incredible pictures, which I was, and I'm excited to find out that you just bring your own tripod instead of asking strangers to take your photos. You just figured out how to set it up and take them all yourself.
Yeah, that's right. In the beginning, I used to be so jealous of all these girls who had their boyfriends in tow or their friends, and they'd hand them their camera and they'd have these adorable photos. So actually, and I've left it for this very reason, if you go back to my early footage, I love being behind the camera, but there were hardly any photos of me, in part because I actually didn't want people to know who I was. And then later, because I couldn't figure it out and I felt really uncomfortable asking people. And then also with the language, English, and explaining like, take a photo, but I'm not going to look at the camera. It just got really complicated. And it was really weird. So I said, okay, same thing. Like use you're a hard worker here. You're a smart thinker. Figure out how you can do it. So I finally invested in a camera I was dreaming about, and a travel tripod. And most of my photography is shot early in the morning or later in the day, and or in a remote location. And I shoot it. So I do differentiate whenever I take a photo, if it's my photo, my content of me, or if someone else took it. And in some situations, I have to hand the phone or camera over because it's really unruly and a little bit honestly disrespectful if I set my camera up in the middle of a busy market type of thing. But yeah, I'm quite proud of it, and I didn't know it was a skill I'd have or a skill set I could grow into, but it's been really, really special.
I can vouch for your skill improvements or whatever it is, but definitely some awesome photos.
Thank you.
Well, we need
I have a question.
Okay.
Yo, okay, go.
Do you know how deep the snow was?
In Antarctica?
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid I don't know how deep the snow was. No, not sure. It was the beginning of their summer, so ice was breaking and some avalanches were happening, so there was definitely a lot of snow, but I can't tell you how deep.
That's okay. Do you have any other questions about Antarctica? It looked cold. How cold was it?
It actually wasn't too cold. I liken it to when you go skiing, and it's a beautiful sunshiny day, you sort of need your snow gear, but you still feel comfortable. It
Yeah.
was generally like that, unless, you know, it got very gray if the clouds came in, and then it was a little chillier, but we had great gear. They gave us really great coats. So yeah, it's great.
Do you want to ask her like what kind of food she's eating or anything?
What's the craziest food you eaten?
The craziest? I would have to say rat.
Oh.
Yeah, I ate rat in Cambodia. We were traveling to a city called Battambang, and they had a rat grilling on the side of the road and some duck. And I was asked if I'd like to try it, and I said yes, I would like to try it. And it was actually pretty tasty. It tasted like chicken, actually like a juicier chicken.
Oh, interesting. What do you think about that?
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
And I know what chicken tastes like.
Yeah.
Not me.
No?
Somebody else.
Got it.
My dad did.
Okay.
Got it.
So I know you, being that you travel, like you're not going to the touristy places and you're traveling by yourself and you make these friends everywhere, it seems like. Are you, and just kind of talking to you now, you seem pretty, I don't want to say an introvert, but you're pretty mellow and low key. How do you go about making friends? Because I think that may be a reason some people don't like to travel solo, is they don't ever want to go sit down at a table by themselves. But sometimes being by yourself opens space for you to create friendships.
Yeah, totally. I would consider myself to be an extroverted introvert. So I can be quite social, but I restore alone. So it's sort of in my DNA to slide in and out of social situations. So I would say a combination of things. I do a lot of tours. So whether it's like a proper tour you sign up for that's going to take you through 3 countries, or walking tour of a city. You know, for instance, I was in Manchester in England and did a walking tour, and along the tour ended up meeting a woman who lived in the States, and we just kept chatting throughout the tour a little bit, decided that we were going to grab a coffee together. Over coffee, I said, you know, I really feel inclined to get my next tattoo here. She said, I really want to get a tattoo too. Can I come with you? I said, absolutely. And me and this pretty much a perfect stranger sat in a tattoo parlor and got tattoos, and we still do talk to each other. So I think it's a combination of being open when you're ready to be open, and when you're open, the door's there. People see it. Yeah, people want to. People are curious. They'll say hello, or you say hello to somebody, or you just go sit at the bar and talk to the bartender. And even if you're not going to have a drink, just, you know, be open. And that's a couple of the ways. Yeah.
Do you have any favorite stories of either people you've met or other experiences in the countries where you just had maybe like I don't know, want to say like magical connection, or just like amazing, memorable experiences?
Ooh, yeah, for sure. Many.
Put them in the book.
Yeah, exactly. There were some pretty profound ones, because, you know, life is amazing and we never know exactly when everything can change. As long as we're open to receive and we're grateful for what's coming our way. And there are people that have crossed my path on the trip that brought me great belly laughs, or really showed me my boundaries and how to better speak up for myself. Yeah, there was a couple unsavory experiences that happened too that I had to embrace and, you know, figure out how to handle. When I traveled through Vietnam, I met a woman who was around my age, going through some interesting things in her life. And now she's one of my closest friends in life. I talk to her probably almost every day, at least through WhatsApp. So just grateful for the spontaneity of it all. There are some more adult stories I could tell you in my book. But I don't know, if you're open, you know, the magic steps in. Yeah. If that's awesome. Makes sense. Yeah.
So we'll kind of wrap down. Do you have any other questions that you can think of right now? Okay.
No? Okay.
So where are you kind of at now? Like, what is your goal? Like, oh, first I'm gonna ask, how many countries have you been to so far?
So officially 69 as of Guatemala.
Okay, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So 69 countries, that's a lot. And
Mm.
Mongolia maybe next.
Yeah, I hope
Maybe.
so. I hope so.
Hope so.
Yeah.
So you don't, or well, maybe I should ask, do you have a job now or a full-time job? Are you making a living traveling, or where are you at right now?
I am a master of freelancing, essentially. So I
Okay.
work with different clients, companies, people, mostly in the digital marketing space, because that does allow me to be a nomad. Um, and it's about full time, not quite full time, but I do allocate a lot of my time to my stuff, to her travel style.
Yeah.
That's I'm so passionate about that. It's hard work, but it's really worth it.
Yeah.
So yeah, still working mostly, and then adding travel in with it. Mm-hmm.
That's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. And that's
Yeah.
really cool that you can be able to kind of just incorporate both of those passions into one. So, is your goal to hit all countries in the whole world, or do you have a goal as far as traveling, or just going to travel till you travel down?
You know, I definitely do not want to visit every country in the world.
Okay.
I've got really specific opinions about that, about certain places. And from what I understand about how citizens are treated in those places. And
Gotcha.
I think your dollar is your vote. So it says a lot. So I don't totally agree with people who are just quick to chase these Guinness Book of World Records goals and so forth, because I don't know that that's super productive. But there are definitely quite a number of countries that I still would like to visit. I don't know if I can quantify that, but there's probably 196 sovereignties presently, give or take. So
No.
192? Oh, we were Googling it yesterday when we were talking about this.
192, 193. Yes. So yeah, it changes.
Yeah, it does.
I'm going to all of them when I get over.
Okay, cool. Well, you let me know.
I guess you've been to 2, so it's got a good start.
Well done, you. Yeah, so I don't know exactly how many there will be, but there will definitely be a good chunk. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to a woman or watching or who sees this that wants to travel? Where do you start? What's your best advice? And then we'll kind of wrap it up from there.
Well, I think if you've never traveled solo, I would say start in bite-sized pieces. So for instance, go to dinner by yourself, go to the movies by yourself, walk up to a group of people in a park and say hi. Try all the little things that will start to get you adjusted to being totally by yourself, and if you feel like being social.
Yeah.
And then you start small. You go to someplace nearby that you feel really safe. There's a lot of really beautiful towns in the United States, for example, that really are promoting tourism for women, groups of women and women by themselves. For instance, in January, I went up to Carmel by the Sea, and that is something they're really focusing on, is bringing more women up there for wellness, meditation, yoga, being in nature. And they're known for beautiful restaurants and wine and art. So really, women friendly things. So if you were to start small, go to a place that doesn't need a passport or a SIM card or a data plan, outside the US, and grab your favorite book and download your favorite movies and go to a place like that for a long weekend. That's a perfect start. Maybe it's driving somewhere, maybe it's flying somewhere, and then taking yourself outside the country to a place maybe that's English speaking first, and then getting more adventurous from there. Yeah.
Yeah, when you build up your confidence. I love how you give examples of literally just like easing into it and going to dinner by yourself or going to a movie or just even going to those places and not feel like you've got to be on your phone or you've got to be talking to someone.
Yeah.
Just being in your own thoughts in your own space and having time to really think because
yeah, exactly.
happens. Yeah.
Totally. There's this amazing TED Talk that I watched. It's called Why You Will Marry the Wrong Person.
Why you will marry the wrong person?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I won't give all
I
the...
watched that one.
Yeah. I won't give all the nuggets away. I'll let everybody Google and watch it. But there's a moment in there where he says people are just deathly afraid of getting to know themselves and
Wow.
knowing how they work and really spending that time alone. I think that has so much merit as a testament to having gone through it, and now really trusting myself, really hearing myself. I'm so much more acutely aware of the people in my life, who I allow in my life, who I want to continue to aspire to be as a better person, and really recognizing what kind of relationships I want, both platonic and romantic. And it's really, really empowering. It feels so great to look at a situation and say, you're not for my best and highest good. So you have a great time, but I'm going over here. And being alone, particularly traveling alone, if you're consistent with it and you're open to it, I assure it really is your perfect version of therapy. Really, like your own customized, plan for your best and highest good. Yeah.
Would you say you've gained a lot of confidence, and maybe you had confidence before, but has it increased your confidence or made you a more confident person?
Yeah, I totally think so. I was in a place professionally where I felt not very successful at all for a variety of circumstances, and that had a lot to do with value, because in America, usually the first question you're asked is, what do you do for a living? And people really get down on that. And that I learned from traveling, that doesn't define a person at all. It's a piece of it. And we sometimes think it does because we spend so much time in our life actually working and to make a living wage. But when you really peel it back, people are really rich and interesting and have a lot of texture, and we don't give them the benefit of the doubt. And I was certainly not giving myself the benefit of the doubt. So when I would meet people, the last thing I would ask, in fact, for some of my greatest friends, I didn't know what they did for a really long time. And having that time alone and learning how to re-navigate social dialogue and how I wanted to be seen in the world, it definitely brings your confidence back, for sure. Especially in your hometown, too. Social mores really hold us back. People really live by these unspoken rules of how to behave and what to do and where to go and how to dress. And when you're out in the world alone and then you come back to it, you can see the difference. And people's opinions of all that stuff about me, just they're just not of value. And there was definitely a time I cared more about it than I do now. If I feel good, then I'm good.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And I think that's really kind of profound and a perfect reason to travel alone, just to have that, just to escape, essentially, learn new things, meet new people, be in a different world, essentially, and then come back with a fresh perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Did you have anything to say?
Wait, what was it? If there was a country that you wish you could take and not instead, like if there was a country that you don't want to go to and you could take that back and then go to a different country, what country would it be?
Oh my gosh. I don't know that I would take any other country back. I think there were valuable lessons in going to all the countries that I visited. But I will sort of switch the question and say, I wish I could have stayed a lot longer in the Philippines. I don't know if that entirely answers your question, but thank you. But that was one of those times where I overplanned and didn't spend enough time really being there and being with the people and experiencing more of everything in the culture. I had a lovely, lovely experience there. So yeah. Good question though. Never been asked that before. Good job.
Okay. Do you want to ask me anything else?
I think that's it.
That's it. Okay.
Cool.
Well, I think I'm good too on my end. I want to say thank you so much for sharing your expertise, your knowledge, and kind of a little bit of your story and how you began traveling and even your tips. It's amazing. It really makes me want to go on a solo trip. Sorry, Christian. Yeah, you too?
Awesome.
Perfect. When you're older, I'll send you on a solo trip for sure.
Great. Happy to support you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you too. You can go ahead and hit the X on your little screen and bounce. And
Got it.
I appreciate you so much and thank you again for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.
Well, that was fun, huh?
It's like FaceTime.
It is like FaceTime. X off. Well, that was really fun. I was fun hearing about her stories and that she's traveled everywhere. Did you learn anything?
A little bit.
A little bit? Yeah, me too. Kind of makes me want to travel somewhere. If you could travel somewhere, where would you want to go? Where's the next country you want to go to? Or city?
The world.
In the world?
No, I'm over there. So.
You're
Probably. I want to go to Germany.
You want to go
or China to see the Great Wall. You know.
The Great Wall of China? That's cool. Chris, your uncle Gabe says hi. Hey. And there's quite a few people watching. They're probably like, what's that little boy doing on there, yawning and acting all sleepy? But I want to thank you guys so much for watching Christian and I today. We have, like I said, we're on our 10th episode. I have 4 more scheduled out. Next week we're going to talk to an amazing life coach who has an awesome energy. And her name is Maggie, so I'm super excited for that. But thank you guys for hanging in, listening to Taryn's story, for watching and participating with us. I totally appreciate it. If you watched on the replay, thanks for being here. Thanks for hosting with me today.
It was fun.
It was fun, right? All right, we'll talk to you guys next week, Thursday. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time. Say bye.
Bye.